Well, hello everyone. This is JPEG Luca with JP's Talk About Town. Today we're on the road in the Berkshire Hills of Massachusetts. A short ride just out of Westfield on historic Route 20, then north on 112 out of Huntington, past the Knightville Dam. You're going to climb into the Worthington Hills, where a relatively hidden gem called the Links at Worthington is offering much more than just golf. We're here with the owners, Helen and David Pollard, on a beautiful May afternoon. Welcome to you both.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Let's start with a little history. What's your background with the course and the area up here?
Well, I'll kick it off. Both Helen and I grew up here in this town and met here as young high school kids, and tried to golf here. But we weren't very good at golf at the time and more into high school sports and so forth. But we grew up around this beautiful golf course and knew a lot of the folks that were members at the time, and got an exposure to how beautiful this place was at that time. And then, we went off to Boston to make our way in the world professionally. And when the opportunity came up to come in and purchase the course, which happened about 6 years ago, we jumped at it. I had been a member here since the mid 80s, learning to play golf on this course as a young wannabe golfer, and fell in love with it like everyone else does that comes here. They eventually end up just absolutely falling in love with this place, as we did. And so when the opportunity came up for us to buy it, we grabbed it and have put our life and soul into this place for the last 5 or 6 years.
Have you done a lot of work since you've had it for 6 years now? Have you done a lot of work to the property? Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, I was going to, if I can, commandeer for a second, take it back, because my experience with the golf course actually happened when I was 6 years old, and my father announced that we were going to be moving to Worthington, and one of the reasons why he wanted to move here was because of the golf course. I remember him as a young man saying that the greens were like velvet, and we came here, and I actually grew up right through the woods, right back through the 7th green, and we would come up after school or on the weekends, go through the woods and come up here and play a little bit of golf. So this place really means a lot to me. It meant a lot to my family. It's a connection back to my dad, who's gone now, but the restaurant Velvet is named because of him saying that the greens were like velvet. So yes, it means a lot, and so as we do work here, we are trying both to save it historically and to keep within the footprint and keep within the character of it, and to improve upon it so that the experience is great for the golfers and great for the community at large.
You talk about the history. It's been around. The course has been around here a long time.
Right. The building itself, the clubhouse is a 1820 federal style house that was in 1904 established as a golf course. So these were fields that were farmed, and it was turned into this link-style golf course that you see today. So along the ledge and down the slope of the hill. So our ancestors or forefathers here had some insight, into that. And at the time, Worthington was a booming community.
What else was going on in town?
Well, there were farmers for sure. They made their money here. There were the people who grew sheep for wool, especially for the Civil War. It was like all the forests were cut for farming for the sheep. There were mills along the rivers here. The rivers are small, but there were still several of them. And beyond that, our house that we actually lived in was built by piano manufacturers.
No kidding.
Who were born in town. So there was industry, light industry.
Now, a typical golf course is 18 holes. You don't have quite 18 up here.
No, we just have 9. That's what the original founders decided to do. Along the way, there were some thoughts about adding the additional back 9 to make it an 18-hole course. We got as far as a 10th hole, so we have an extra bonus hole. But also along the way, I think a recognition settled in that this was special as a 9-hole experience. That people could come up and just play 9 holes, in and out of here in an hour and a half to 2 hours, and that was really important. You can't do that easily on an 18-hole course. You have to exit the property at the 9th hole, maybe out in the middle of nowhere. And so we decided to leave it this boutique experience, really important link style, as Helen says, link style golf at its absolute best and most charming. And we have the land to add the additional holes, but I think it might actually detract, arguably, from the charm of this beautiful little 9-hole track. And so we like that. We like the aesthetic of it. The playability of this course is terrific. And it's challenging. It's not an easy little 9-hole. Many 9-hole courses can be categorized as fairly easy to play, typically. Not this one. This is a challenging track for anyone that wants to play it.
You talked about membership. Do you have to be a member to play up here?
No, we're fully open to the public. We've got a devoted group of members that we love, and they love this place. It's a very strong community. We had them here all weekend on Memorial Day having a great tournament, and every single one of them came out. And so we've got a very, very strong cadre of about 110 members, and then we're open to the public as well.
What are some of their what do you hear from them that are their favorite aspects of this place?
Well, there's a lot of history with each and every one of them. So many of them have it in their in their family tree that their parents, grandparents, great-grandparents played here, won championships here, grew up here even like we did. So there's a lot of history. This place was founded in 1904, and many of the names that are on the plaques inside for winning championships many decades ago are still here, many of them, and their children are here, and their grandchildren are here, so they keep coming back.
I noticed the sign on the building says we're at an elevation of 1,700 feet, which is pretty impressive here in the hill towns. Are there any higher golf courses in Massachusetts?
Well, we don't think so. We think we're the highest, and we're quite sure we are. We had, many years ago, all kidding aside, a superintendent here did fact-checking, did measurements, topography analysis, and determined that the actual spot is on the 8th fairway. That is this memorialized by a rock and a plaque.
Excellent.
This is the highest spot of live golf play in the state of Massachusetts.
Now, a few years ago, you kind of changed direction to go a little bit off of golfing and brought music up onto the mountain. And can you tell me how that came about?
I'll start it. Helen, this is going to, I'll segue this over to my lovely wife, because she'll probably have a lot to say about this. For me, it was very simple. I've played music since college, in rock bands and garage bands. I love music. It's as big a part of my DNA as golf, maybe even bigger in some ways. And we had open mics and local bands playing here. And 3 years ago, we said, why not? Why don't we give this a try and see if we can open this up to a more national exposure? So we brought in the wonderful John Poussette Dart of Poussette Dart Band, who was so gracious, and he knew he was our inaugural event here 2 years ago, and he just came in and just slayed. He just was so great, and we had 300-400 people on this golf course, and so it repurposed it for a day. And as a consequence of that, we've expanded the marketing footprint, expanded the visibility and awareness of the Worthington Golf Club and the golf side of it through the music promotion. And we think there's a very strong marriage. Most people that golf like music, and a lot of people that like music happen to golf, and we're enjoying that cross marketing benefit of doing that. But that's kind of how it all started.
Yeah, just to add to that a little bit, in 1974, so everything's historical, right? In 1974, just a little bit after Woodstock, Arlo Guthrie played a benefit concert directly across the street, and they were raising money for the Worthington Health Center. So he had bands come with him, and there were thousands of people who came into the town for that. People were sleeping in their cars overnight. It was a mini Woodstock. So that's 50th anniversary of that will be next year. And I'm hoping Arlo will come and, if not play, at least say hello.
At least maybe some of his family will come and visit, because there's still family that lives in the area.
Still, my father was a school principal in Beckett, and so some of Arlo's kids and grandchildren have gone through the school system with
What
my
a
dad.
wonderful idea.
Yeah.
So you mentioned John Poussette Dart Band. Who else have you had up here?
We've had a great run of artists who have all been so gracious. We had Pure Prairie League here last year. That was a hoot. We had 500 plus people rocking and rolling on this golf course, and that was so much fun to watch. We had the great, legendary Jim Messina here last year as well, of Loggins and Messina, Buffalo, Springfield, and his own career fame, and as well as Poco, of course. Not before we forget. And that was one of the most incredible musical experiences I've ever been a part of, and we just love that. We have the incredible Martin Barr of Jethro Tull coming here in a few weeks. So there's a shameless plug for an upcoming event. We are so excited to be featuring Jethro Tull, the Sounds of Tull, and that is going to be just an epic event.
Let me pause there just for a minute. We're speaking here with the owners of the Worthington Links, the Worthington Golf Club, Helen and David Pollard. You mentioned Martin Barr, and that's coming up in a few weeks. What's the date?
That is June 18th, Father's Day. It's a Father's Day event, so you got to have a lot of dads out there who love Jethro Tull. Come on out and hear it live. If you want to hear Aqualung live and Locomotive Breath live, June 18th.
How can people find tickets for that?
Yeah, just go to our website, worthingtongolfclub.com, and there's a link that says concerts or something like that, and they just click there, and it'll get easy to navigate looking around.
We'll bring that up again. And who else is? Do you have other names coming up or other events coming up?
Yeah, one of the things that I'm really excited about is we're doing a local Rising Star Festival on August 20th. I'm really excited about this. There's some terrific talent in Western Mass. Western Mass is a hub with Northampton and the hill towns even is a hub of music, and I don't think we understand it at its full breadth. And so we're having a Rising Stars Festival on August 20th. We're featuring the great C.J. Fields, who's an up-and-coming country western guy. The 413s, a bunch of kids from Gateway Regional. You've seen them before. They're just a blast, and they know how to have fun. And a number of other acts. And that's just going to be a wonderful, wonderful day. We're really excited about it. We also have a return engagement, which we just love. Carla Cook is joining us again on 4th of July weekend. July 2nd, I believe, is the date. And she is just, if you haven't seen Carla Cook, this is the daughter of the legendary Sam Cooke. She'll be singing all of his greatest hits and a few other surprises. She is absolutely magical.
Well, Helen had mentioned the history up here, and so many musical legends have come out of here. You had talked about Arlo Guthrie. James Taylor is up here. The list goes on. Why can't this name?
Well, Aaron Lewis of Sting.
That's who I'm thinking of. He lived here for quite a while.
He's played on this course several times, and he'll be back. Aaron, you'll be back. I know you will.
Well, we'll have to throw a tease out for him. You're going to play the course, you got to play the music, and then we'll see what happens.
He's a good friend. He's a dear friend.
It'd be wonderful, and we would love it. And there's behind the scenes conversations, so you never know. It's possible. But
what are some of the things? We've talked about what you've done, and what are some of the things you hope to see, in the coming years, 2 years, 5 years, beyond?
Helen, why don't you go ahead with this one? Because you talk about the deck and the things that you're doing for the property.
Oh, I was just going to say break even.
Well, breaking even would be good.
Well, we all hope to do that with life, right?
Yeah, it's all good. No, I'm not really here looking to expand the footprint other than making it just that much more glorious for people to come up and enjoy the scenery. There are a few beautiful restaurants in Western Massachusetts with views, but we're definitely among the top of them. And the view from the restaurant and the view from the deck is just pretty spectacular. The hills are rolling. But not only that, it's quiet here. You may have noticed there hasn't been a car go by, and we're right on the road here. So the peace, the quiet, the wildlife is really lovely. Seeing the bears run across, or the deer, the fawns that we see, the turkeys, potentially eagle sightings. So our goal is to keep it as rural and peaceful as possible.
As quaint as it is
quaint
today.
as it is, and
I
just to make the experience worth the trip. I know that there are people who we'll take a drive if the experience is worth it. And we like to say yes, it is.
Well, sometimes just exploring, and one of the things I had always loved about the Berkshires is when I worked in Berkshire County but lived over in Westfield, and yeah, you could always go down Route 7 and take the turnpike, but it was fun to just wander through the hill towns and see if you found your way home. This is before GPS, of course, right. And I would get lost and I wouldn't care. You'd find places like this.
Right, the stone walls, the canopies of trees, the occasional moose running in front of your car, things like that you don't quite get anywhere else.
You had mentioned a deck, and we're hearing a little bit of working behind us. You're putting a little deck on the side of the building. Is that going to be for some purpose, outdoors dining?
Outdoor dining, outdoor everything. We constructed it so that musicians could play on it as a stage. So I know that David's band, in whatever rendition it is, it's always wonderful for me when my husband gets to play the rock star. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, that will connect hopefully the course to the music to the golfers, just in another way.
Well, that's wonderful. It brings us a medium-sized stage to the property, I think. Yeah.
So hopefully that makes sense for us.
David, you've been in bands in Western Mass. Any that our listeners would recognize?
Well, the current project I'm in is Full Vinyl Jacket, and that's a hoot. I picked up 3 terrific musicians that are all Berkeley School grads, master degree artists that are just phenomenal, and I'm so proud to be part of the Full Vinyl Jacket project. Also, very good buddies and alum of the Lost 45s, which is a pretty prominent oldies band, I guess we have to call
Greater
it these
Westfield,
days.
Yeah.
And they weren't oldies when we started playing them. We just waited long enough, and now they're oldies. And we played at East Mountain Country Club. Good friends with Teddy Perez and all the guys down there, and they played down in the valley. I'm a little tied up to be able to do that with them, but they're dear friends, and they'll be up here to play. Play here real soon this summer.
In all the years you've been playing, most musicians I talk to have their favorite places that they've played or favorite stories they like to tell. Maybe some you shouldn't tell.
No, fortunately or unfortunately, there's none of those. But that's actually pretty simple. Height of COVID, nothing was happening here, right? Summer of 2000, there was nobody could go anywhere or do anything. And Helen and I decided to bring the Lost 45s up here and do an outdoor height of COVID event when everyone was still masking and stuff. This was the height of it. And hundreds of people showed up. We all were so yearning,
hungry for
music, outside, clean air, fresh air, cool breezes, and that is memorable. To look out at the height of COVID, when there was so much angst and so much worry and not a lot of fun being had, to look out and see a couple hundred people screaming and cheering and dancing and playing to our music was so rewarding.
So many people in the business are no longer in the business because of COVID, and it's sad. And as I work with some of them, still trying to recover, and whether it be a venue or people in the business, even now people are still hesitant. They seem hesitant to come out. This seems the perfect solution. We're almost there. In most people's mind, we are there, but in a lot, we're still almost there. But now there's room.
Right.
There is room. You could put 1,000 people up here and maintain that 6-foot distance.
Easily, without difficulty. And golf is that way as well. One of the things we all learned, not just Worthington, but all the golf courses, learn that it's a great outdoor safe activity that has distance built into it. And so we saw quite a big pickup in golf activity during COVID, and that's maintained. We've stayed busy since then. So I think a lot of people have returned to golf as a consequence of COVID, and many of those people are staying with it.
Are you seeing new people enter the sport? I'll be the first to admit, my dad loved it, my son loves it, I just was never good at it.
Well, what's interesting is our demographic here was aging quickly, and that was one of the problems that ultimately led to the course being sold. And the first thing we did because of that, and because it just felt like the right thing to do, was we immediately instituted a program where all kids play for free. High school and down, you play for free at the Worthington Golf Links. And what that did, obviously, was bring a whole flight of new young players. And we have free kids clinics every summer where we teach the basics to 7, 8, 9-year-olds and on up. And now we're 5, 6 years into that program. And those kids are now in their college years, and they're bringing their buddies back here. So we're seeing a resurgence that's specific to our club because of that program. So and nothing's more satisfying to me than that, to look out and see that this place is now filled with young people playing golf again, which we hadn't seen in a long, long time.
Tournaments and things, is that something you've been looking into?
Yeah, but I just on that point here, just tying it into the music a little bit, having the kids here, I think they think it's really wonderful that there's music at this golf course. I think that is exciting to them, and it's a little bit unique. But I would be remiss, or I would think this conversation would be remiss if we didn't discuss how important music is to healing. I feel that the musicians of the 60s, because of Vietnam and some of the terror in the hearts of the young people, I think they turned to music, and I think the music is what healed us as a nation going into the 70s. There was a lot of civil unrest at that time, and I think it parallels where we are here today. So I think that one of the most important things that we do is say that music is art, and it's really important in our lives, and it's something that we give as a legacy back. You know, all of us who love the Doors or the musicians that were at Woodstock, few of them left on the planet anymore. You know, but to continue to play that music and to bring that healing into modern day is pretty special.
You know, you bring that up, especially around Memorial Day. Not too long ago, I worked with a veterans organization out of Albany, and at one of their events, I had run into a group of people out of Texas that they will fly down veterans for a week, listen to their stories, good, bad, really, really bad, and they'll take those stories and turn them into music. And it was one of the most incredible things I had seen, because they brought a CD up, and a couple of the vets that had been involved in it had come up, and it was so cool, and it's healing. Music, and I've said this before. People have asked me, you know, what does music mean to you? And well, never mind, it's fun and I love it. And as I often say, I've got no talent for it, so I might as well help promote it if I can. But there's emotion there.
Yeah, for sure.
It can make you laugh. It can make you cry. It can take you back in time. Those are the most important things, and almost always those are great things.
You know, that's so true. And one of the most rewarding things of having these music events here is to look out and see several hundred people creating those moments right in front of us on our golf course in Worthington. That takes it to a whole new level of care and dedication to music as a healing element, and to see it in action, to see it on an open air event like Worthington. I mean, you're not crammed into a civic center or even into a large outdoor arena. It's all open seating, and you just, it's a Woodstock feel to it, a Tanglewood feel to it. So you get that community itch scratched, if you will, and that's just so rewarding at this time, to see people come together and just enjoy it. Music is the bond. It's the reason they're all here. So there's happiness automatically, you know, in the equation. But to see it happening right in front of us on our golf course is so rewarding, Jay. I can't even find the words.
It's wonderful. And I will say the musicians have said the same thing back, that for them this experience is different than it's like early days, because they're right in with the crowds. It's a very peaceful experience. Everybody is chill and cool and on their blankets with having a hamburger. And Jim Messina, who the next day was flying out to the Hollywood Bowl to play with Kenny Loggins, flying to the danger zone, and he was flying out, and he said to me, you've really got something here. So, that was Jim Messina, one of the best, arguably the best guitar players on the planet ever, saying how much he enjoyed the experience. And every one of the artists that we've had here have said that they wanted to come back, including Carla Cook. This is her second show, because the town, the people, those that come to this concert, it's not Tanglewood. It's, in many ways, it's better. It's
I would agree.
A little bit more simple.
I've been to both. I would agree.
A little bit more easy, a little bit more of an old-fashioned carnival experience. It's quite the thing. July 2nd, when Carly's here last year, there wasn't a dry eye. I mean, her voice, she sang love songs to the audience. It was a love fest, and the people in the town. It was a little overcast that night. There'd been a rainbow. The rain held off, and the people in the town came up to me for weeks and weeks after, saying, "We didn't make it, but oh my God, it was beautiful." So, quite the experience.
Well, when the weather follows the art up into the hills, you can't beat that.
Well, the moon rises,
There's something about the sunset behind us, the moon coming up over the hills over there, and I had an opportunity to see that last year. The views, the mood when you get up here, it's just so laid back. You've mentioned some high-end bands that you've had here or will have here. Where do you get the input from? You have your daughter works up here. I'm sure she and her friends would love to see certain acts.
Harry Styles. Harry Styles, come on.
Bruno Mars. To be honest with you, somewhat selfishly, the first wave of artists we carefully selected was very purposeful. Partly because these are the artists I grew up with, and it's the music I love, we love, our generation loves. That sort of reflects the demographic of the area and the golf community. So it was that. Also, to be honest with you, putting on Jim Messina is very different than putting on a hard rock or a grunge or a alternative, experience, which we're looking forward to doing that, but that's a different level of preparation. You put Jim Messina or Carla Cook or Pure Prairie League on the golf course, everyone's just having a good time, and it's real simple, a couple beers, and that kind of thing. Very, very laid back and chill.
Your festival that you have coming up, the up and coming artist festival, who's in that again?
Yeah, that's a great lineup. 413s, the local kids, and we've got CJ Field, he's a local guy, Northern Berkshire County guy that headed off to Nashville and made his way in the world. Then we got Hotshot Hillbillies.
Oh, they're from around.
Yeah, they opened for Pure Prairie League. They just destroyed it in a very good way. That's a good thing to destroy things in music, and brought the house down and lit this place up for Pure Prairie League. They got this crowd ready, so we're pumped to have them. And then Wild Bill and the Sparks are finishing things up. It's a great lineup. All local artists, all super talented musicians. And we couldn't be more excited. And this is our inaugural event. So as you can tell, I'm really pumped about this one, because I want this to be an annual thing every year where we feature new up-and-coming artists. And we want this club to be a haven for artists. So to Helen's point, they don't get treated like this. The local artists as well. They don't get treated with home-cooked meal the way Helen prepares it for them, and just the hospitality of the clubhouse at their disposal. The entire place becomes their green room and party area for the evening, and they just get treated like gold. And as Helen said, Jim Messina himself said, "We don't get this." And the Pure Prairie League guys really echoed that. I said, we show up at an arena or something, it's, that drill. You're down in some place down in the basement of the facility, and there's a tray of food for you, maybe. And even if you're Jim Messina, it's not this. It's not a country experience with home cooking.
Clearly you've learned that you treat the artists right, and first, they appreciate it, of course.
Yeah.
Second, you're going to get a better show out of it.
Exactly.
And years from now, they'll still be talking about being up in the hills in the Berkshires.
Oh, right. Giving recipes to Jim Messina's wife on the glazed carrots I make, it's all good. But Pure Prairie League was, you're just mentioning them, that they were just such a hoot. I mean, it was really the right band for the moment, and they stayed and partied with the bartenders. We were outside all night long. I mean, they were hard pressed to leave.
We had to restock a few things.
Yeah, the bourbon.
Restock the bourbon.
But they were good.
They had drivers, thank goodness.
They were all set.
But they're talking about coming back and spending a couple of days. So
we'd love to have
we'll see what happens.
Are they golfers?
Well, everyone has.
Do they want to be?
Everyone picks up a golf club. Yeah, they're happy about it. And who cares? Just to be on a cart and ride around is fun.
And one of the charming things that they definitely don't get anywhere else is the clubhouse is a greenhouse, but the stage is 100 yards away.
Yeah.
So we hand deliver the artists to the stage with our golf carts.
Oh, it's so fun.
It's a flat. They love it.
The
artists love it. It's not often you get carted to the main stage in a golf cart.
Yeah.
So it's got a little feel of Shea Stadium to it or something, with the artist running from the golf course up to the golf cart up to the stage. It's
Again,
so much fun.
we're talking with Helen and David Pollard, owners of the Worthington Links in Worthington, Massachusetts. Folks, this is beautiful up here. It is. I've had absolutely a wonderful time talking to you. Is there anything else that you'd like to bring up about the course?
Well, the only other thing is, I spent my early days in the valley, so I've got very strong ties to Westfield, West Springfield, and the Springfield area, and we want you to consider this your home as well. Come up. It is not that far of a drive. It really isn't. You can get up here from Westfield in 30 minutes, and I've got a lot of friends in Westfield, and I hope they'll come on up and see one of our shows this summer.
Yeah, David and I, you've said that we're the owners of the golf course, and in some regards the golf course really owns us, but
I understand that. I truly do.
But we consider ourselves stewards. This is an effort to keep it, to give it its due as the historic property that it is. I was so connected with this town as a young girl. I got to be in the houses of the grand dames of this town, women whose fathers were in the Civil War, who would talk about how the town was and how important it was to them that the character remained, that their songs were continued to be sung forward. And this golf course is a big piece of that. Where times change and how we live changes in many ways, there are some things that are very core. And in Worthington, I believe it is this place and this view that makes it special and keeps the town unique in this world.
I think you hit it right. Stewards of the land that you happen to play on. And I think that's beautiful. It says it all.
Yeah, thank you.
Once again, how can they find out, people listening, watching, how can they find out more? WorthingtonGolfClub.com, and there'll be a section in there on concerts and also golf tournaments and all the information needed to participate in our golf experience as well.
And links to the restaurant, and we do events here.
Weddings.
We've had a couple of weddings. It's really a beautiful
Great
spot
venue for
a
weddings.
wedding.
Yeah.
It's the views and the pictures available are lovely, but the experience is great.
Well, thank you both very, very much.
Thank you, Jay.
Helen and David Pollard, stewards of the Worthington Links. Thank you. And thank you all. This is JPEG Luca with JP's Talk About Town. We'll turn it all back to, well, what is it, CPC's? Peter, help me out here. Edit this part out. No. I want to thank Peter Coles from WSKB and CPC TV, the community television down in Westfield, Massachusetts. Peter's been helping us put this together, and we'll have a wonderful piece out on YouTube that will be archived for forever.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. All right.